20, Utkatasana or chair pose. I may have confused you guys, or I am about to confuse you a little bit, because in my last video I was in Wales and I didn't have the little calendar with me. So I knew what your posture 19 was, and in my head I thought I knew what your posture 20 was as well. But I, perhaps wishful thinking, omitted this posture. So this is posture 20. Tomorrow when you do your video, I've already said posture 20, but I'll make sure it's labelled correctly on the blog so you know and it flows properly. So yeah, just ignore what I'm saying in tomorrow's video. This is posture 20, Utkatasana. And it means, so it's a chair pose, and it means fierce pose or strong pose, and it is that. It is quite an intense posture. Although for most people it's intense in the legs. It is quite a fiery posture. You need a lot of leg strength to hold this. But for me, that's not what my issue is. My issue with this posture, where I find it hard, is in my shoulders. I've got very tight shoulders. So if I do this at the beginning of a class, I do struggle a bit. And then if I do it an hour later, after we've done some shoulder openers and some arm stretches, then I'll find it a lot easier. So just bear that in mind when you're doing this. Don't feel discouraged if you're struggling, because it really is one of those postures that needs a lot of warm-up to really get into the full posture. So I'm going to give you a couple of variations for your shoulders. Unfortunately, there's not a huge number of variations you can do for your legs. I've got ways to make it harder, but I don't have very many ways to make it easier. So if you're finding that you can't hold it for 5 long breaths, then that's fine. Just hold it for as long as you can and do it a couple of times and then see how far you get with it. And yeah, I think it's one of those ones that is quite easy to build up the strength in your legs. You'll get there, but it's not my favourite pose. It's not very many people's favourite poses, but it does get thrown in to a lot of classes, so it's worth doing. If you hate it, doesn't matter, blitz through it, and we'll move on to the next posture tomorrow. But it's just good to know the ins and outs of it. So Utkatasana, chair pose. Like so many postures, the easiest way to come into it is from your down dog. So if you've just done your sun salutations, from your down dog, rather than holding it for 5 breaths, from your down dog, if you just come to standing with your feet between your hands at the top of your mat, and you want toes together and heels together, and also knees together, and you're going to bend down as if you're sitting on an imaginary chair. So I'm going to turn so you can see. Can you see that angle better? I think so. So you're sitting on an imaginary chair. So in this posture, your knees are as close to being over your ankles as you can manage. The most important thing is that your knees aren't over the front of your toes. So you're sitting back on that chair. So that's your chair. And then from here, and this is the bit that I find hard, you lift your hands up, and ideally your palms are together, your thumbs are together, your fingers are together, and you're lifting your hands up over your head and gazing up at your fingers. If you find that hard, then sometimes it's easier. I'm going to come a bit closer so you can see. So interlace your fingers and put, like that church and steeple thing you used to do when we were little. So your index fingers are together, and that just gives you a little bit of leeway, a little bit of extra space in your shoulders. So try that. I'm gazing up at your shoulders. If that still doesn't work, then hold your wrists, elbows, and lift them up. And this time you're gazing forwards. And you're holding it for 5 breaths. And you'll feel it, you'll definitely feel it along your legs. But like I said, for me the hardest bit is opening out the shoulders. If you've got any blood pressure issues, don't gaze up towards the ceiling. If you've got blood pressure issues, then just keep your gaze forward. Otherwise, if you can manage it and your neck will allow it, then lift your gaze up towards your fingers. What else do you need to remember? Toes together, heels together, knees together. Imagining you're sitting on a chair and that your knees are tracking your ankles as much as possible. So that's Utkatasana. It's quite an in-depth, tough posture, so just give it a whirl. I'll keep throwing it into our classes so that we can go through it together. And I want to say enjoy it, but yeah, try it. And I will see you again for tomorrow's video 21, which was filmed in Wales again, so just to confuse you guys a little bit. And yeah, enjoy. Bye guys.